oldest memory that you can think of? All right, Lorraine, say hello to your public and tell us what it is. What's your oldest memory?
Here I sit with my son-in-law, Chester, and my grandson, Tommy, and now they're going to ask me all these questions.
We had a nice meal.
And I think I'm getting the third degree.
We got you. All right. What is your oldest recollection that you can think of? Now think back. Think of the old sock. What's the oldest thing you can remember?
The really oldest.
Yeah.
And I always say that my mother tells me I was just about 3 years old. And I remember my grandfather, they lifted me up when he passed away, and they lifted me up and I saw him in the coffin. Because I told my mother one day, I said, Grandpa was laying on a red carpet.
No, who was Grandpa? This was
Mother's father.
And what was his
Grandpa
name?
Paul.
Paul?
P-A-U-L.
Oh, Paul.
Paul. P-A-U-L.
What's his name? That was his last name. What was his first name?
Frederick.
Frederick Paul.
Frederick Paul.
Yeah.
And that was...
Where did he live?
And he lived in Bluegrass, Iowa.
Bluegrass? How old was he when he died?
He was old. I don't know how old, but he was old.
He was old. That was your grandpa?
That was my grandpa. He had a beard. I remember that.
That's right. Your mother's maiden name was Paul then. And she married?
No, I don't know what my mother's name. Yeah, my mother's name was Paul. And she married my father.
What was the first name?
My father's name? Edward.
Anna. No, Anna. Grandma. Anna.
Yeah.
Paul. Married?
Anna Clara Paul married Edward Charles Springmeier.
In what year do you think that was?
I don't know. 1900, I think.
1900. It's a good
1900,
year.
And then they had...
Were you scared of that casket we saw? No.
Well, did you ever see any of your grandparents?
Pardon?
Did you ever see your grandparents?
Yeah, she said the
yes,
oldest recollection was seeing her grandfather in the casket.
That was my grandpa Paul I saw in the casket.
You don't remember him before he was in the casket?
No, I never saw him before that.
He was married twice, right? Because she had step-brothers and sisters.
She had a step-brother.
Step-brother?
Mm-hmm.
How many sisters did she have?
None. Then he married again, and he married Grandma Paul. I don't know what her name was. Anna. No, not her name wasn't Anna.
No?
I don't know what it was.
Oh, I mean before he married your grandmother. Right?
No, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, he was your grandfather, right?
My grandfather it was the second marriage that Mother was from.
And you don't remember his wife's first name?
First wife, you don't know.
Grandma's mother's name?
No, I can't think of it. I maybe know it. I maybe got a record of it.
Down somewhere.
Yeah, I have. But I don't know what it was.
She was German, probably.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Now, did she have any brothers or sisters that were all her? I mean...
Then Grandma Paul Mother had, let's see.
How many brothers and sisters did she have?
Well, she had this half-brother. That was all.
One half-brother.
One half-brother.
What was his name?
I
don't remember. He was up in Dakota?
No, it was Iowa. This is all in Iowa. And he was a carpenter.
And where was she from in Iowa?
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good racing place. Bluegrass, Iowa.
Yeah.
Any horses there?
Grandpa was from Davenport.
Springmeyer's from Davenport.
So they're all German.
And there are still some Springmeyers living?
What?
There are no Springmeyers living.
Oh, yeah, I think there
that
are.
Named.
There's Springmeyers. I think Dixon.
No, I don't know about that.
I don't think there's anybody named Springmeyer still living.
No, I don't think so. I think they're all dead.
Well, how much did Grandpa, how many brothers and sisters did Grandpa have? Edward Springmeyer?
Pa had, I think there was, I have to count. He had another brother, Henry, Uncle Henry, and it was 2 boys, I think, and 6 girls, 8 kids.
And Uncle Henry had 1 son. He never had any children, right?
Uncle Henry had a lot of kids.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yes. He had George and...
Well, then maybe there's Springmeyer still living.
In Iowa?
No. Oh, there might be now. There might be on that George there.
But who do you visit in Iowa? You don't visit in Springmeyers.
Well, who was Henry Springmeyer?
Henry was my uncle.
That was Because he was married to, I met one Springmeyer, Warren Springmeyer.
Warren is dead.
I know, but he never had any
He
children.
never had any children of his own. He married a woman and she had a son. But he took, I don't think he did take the name of Springmeyer. I think
No,
he's
his name
still a
was
Needham.
Needham.
Yeah,
Needham.
Needham. Needham.
He's there when you need him.
Yeah.
Right.
You're on tape.
Oh.
No jokes on tape.
No jokes on tape. Well, now who do you visit and who's left there in Iowa?
Well, no, let's hear a little more about who they're German, right? Everyone's German.
French.
Well,
French.
father was part French.
Your father?
Or they both came from that Alsace-Lorraine country.
Your
Real
grandparents.
folks.
So do they
My
come from Europe?
grandparents.
They came from Europe?
And one,
They weren't born here.
sometime they were, no, the grandparents all came from the old country.
Alsace-Lorraine?
And sometimes they would be, Germany had Alsace-Lorraine country, and sometimes France had it. Don't you know they had wars over that?
Is that where you got your name?
That's
Lorraine?
where I got my name.
Alsace-Lorraine?
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and Grandma Springmeyer's first name was Catherine.
Well, that was Anna. Anna.
No. His
My
Grandmother Springmeyer.
My
Oh, not your brother.
father's
Oh,
mother.
yeah. Okay, your father's
And
mother.
they were,
Catherine.
I've got a
Oh, is
picture,
that why you picked Catherine for your kids? That's your
I've got a
grandmother? You know that?
picture of the church where Mom and Dad were married in at Buffalo.
Do you have any
And,
pictures of them? Your grandparents?
oh, I've got a picture of Grandma.
Yeah.
Springmeyer. And, but I got a church where Mom and Dad were, picture of the church where Mom and Dad were married in at Buffalo.
Okay, now to get back to your father, how many brothers and sisters did he have?
He had one brother,
Charles.
and then he had,
Charles?
no, Henry.
Henry.
I thought you said that Henry was an uncle. What be your uncle?
My uncle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Henry and Dad,
The brothers.
yeah. And then there was Laura and I can't remember. I'm sure there was 6 girls though. Gertrude. I can't think of all their names now.
You probably got it written down at home.
Yeah, I've got it all written down at home.
Mm-hmm. Send it to Tom.
I will. I'll
Add
send
it to the tape.
Add it to the tape. We'll read it on the tape.
Yeah, and then they moved up to, they bought a farm up at Warren, Minnesota.
You were born in Warren, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Warren,
Born in Warren on the farm.
What year was that?
1906.
1906.
Pa went out and painted 1906 on the barn.
Did he?
Yeah. And in July 15th.
July 15th, 1906.
1906.
Good month.
Then where'd you go to school?
You know. And then I went to,
But that's the day you were born.
yeah.
The same day they arrived?
No, they arrived up in Warren about, they were married in about 1900 and they were, and Paul was born in 1901. He was born in Iowa. And then they moved up there in about 1903 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Mom was pregnant at the time, but she lost that one.
Mm.
And then, because she was so homesick, and, you know, shook up for leaving. She'd never been away from home, never.
Really?
Was her mother still living then?
Oh, yes. Grandma Paul used to come up there every once in a while.
Was her
And she'd bring a lot of stuff.
What'd she bring?
Oh, she'd bring clothes, and she'd bring that. I can remember she used to bring lots of things. We always thought it was great when she come.
Sausages? And
Apples and lots of stuff. Well, she'd come from Iowa on the train, you know.
Oh.
But it would all be, apples would keep and stuff like that. She'd bring lots of stuff.
Ham would keep. She bring meat.
I don't know what she
So I wonder when she was born. She's probably born 18.
I don't know
Way
when
back
Grandma.
then, huh?
My mother? I got a look on her funeral card. Haven't you got a funeral card around here? of Ma.
There's
And
mine.
I think
I don't know where it is.
Dad was born in 1876, I think, and Ma was born in 1880,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Because didn't you tell me a Civil War story once or something? How we had a relative?
Oh, yeah, well, Grandpa, we had the Civil War. What year was the Civil War?
But that was your grandfather.
Your grandfather.
That's my grandfather. Well, Grandma,
That was 1850, like
he,
that.
when
64.
when Grandpa came over, he and two sisters came over with him, the three,
Mm-hmm.
on a boat. And they all got sick because they got the dysentery so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the two sisters died,
Wow.
but Grandpa didn't die. And he was sick and so sick. And the doctor told him he was a black shoemaker.
Shortening.
Huh?
Told him to eat some shortening bread.
He wasn't black, was he?
No,
He was a
shoemaker. He was a shoemaker.
He was a black shoemaker.
Grandma's black?
I didn't say black. Anyway, and he was a shoemaker, and the doctor told him, you've got to get outdoors and work outdoors in the air, and then you'll get better.
This is your grandpa was a shoemaker?
Yeah.
My granddad was a shoemaker too. Isn't that
Was he?
Mm-hmm. Polish.
Well, you see that, old ones, you know.
They got shoes.
You bet
They
they
have shoe
did.
factories.
And they,
People walk a lot more.
well, I guess so. So Grandpa, he found that acreage by the Mississippi River,
Mm-hmm.
and he bought it. And then it was really wild around there then. It's not like today. And they had slaves, yes, you know, colored people working for him, and the blacks. And so then
Your granddad did?
oh yeah. And my dad used to tell about the neighbor was Pappy Clark. I remember that.
Pappy.
Pappy Clark, they called him. And he was a plantation owner too.
So how many slaves do you have? You have a lot of slaves?
I don't know how many. Anyway, they had men working for him. And so Grandpa got called to war. Civil War. And so you could hire somebody to take your place.
Which side was he going on?
Northern.
North.
And so Grandpa hired this black man to take his place, and he gave him $1,000, which was big money those days. And he says, when you come back, I'll give you some more. Because he didn't pay it all, I guess, the fee. So but the black fella never came back. So evidently he was killed.
Or took off.
Huh?
Maybe he took off, got his freedom.
No. He would have come back for his money because he was a northerner.
Mm.
See.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the way that was.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, did you
And
know
then-
the Dennis's, they were up there at that time too, somewhere up in North Dakota, weren't they? The grandparents,
I don't know.
No, they were in South.
weren't they?
They
Or
were in South Dakota.
No.
Didn't know that.
But then I didn't know anything about them then.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I know that
So then your parents bought this farm in 1903 up in Minnesota?
in Warren, Minnesota.
Warren.
And then up north there,
And your brother, when was Grant born?
5 years after me.
Would be 1911.
Mm-hmm.
You paid that number on the barn?
Nope.
Nope.
No, it was only me.
Only you.
Only me.
Those women.
And they lived there till 1944,
I don't know when they sold the farm.
45,
Well, it was after the war.
46.
When did you leave the farm? When you got married?
No, I left the farm long before I was married.
Did you?
I graduated in 24.
From Warren High School?
Yep.
Yep.
And then I went to,
Top in the class, no doubt.
no,
Oh,
heavens
come on.
no.
No.
And then I went to Grand Forks and I took up nursing, but I didn't like it, so I quit.
quit. How long did you take it
Nuns
up?
worked me too hard.
1 day?
Huh?
Two
How
days.
long did you take it up? 1 day?
No, about a year and a half.
About a year and a half.
Mhm. Then I went to Minneapolis. Well, first I went to Fargo. And I worked a little while in a penny store, and I didn't like that. I was only getting $45 a month. I have to remember that.
Really?
$45 a month. So then I went over to the Elks Club, and I got a job over there.
Song and dance girl.
Oh, waitress.
Waitress.
In
I hear,
Fargo?
why are you
Up.
taking him
Wipe
off?
that off.
No editing, no
Wipe
editing.
that off, girl.
It's on.
And he's, everything you say is going on.
Wipe that off. Scratch that.
Scratch that.
Scratch that song and dance girl.
I tell you,
Take that off the record.
yeah, take it off the
Get
record.
arrested for scratching the song and
Well,
dance.
anyway, I remember that, whenever I went into a place, I always told them, I got 3 years experience. 3 years experience. That was,
Doing what? You didn't say what it was.
I didn't know, I just said 3 years experience.
Song and dance.
So I
Good
got the
number, song
job.
and dance girl.
And then I was making coffee.
How much that pay?
They told me coffee, to make the coffee.
Uh-huh.
Well, I didn't know what the heck an urn was from a
Pot.
bucket of water. I knew better what a bucket of water was. So I put in the jacket of the coffee urn, I put the coffee. And I plugged it up tighter than hell.
Then your next job was?
So the chef got mad at me, but of course I started, I guess, to cry or something. The fellow's name that was the manager of the club was Mr. Stout.
Stout.
And he was so nice, and he came out and he told me, he cooled the chef off, and he said, that's all right, Lorraine, we'll take care of it. And so he said, you bring in my breakfast. And I'll never forget that.
He was nice to you.
He was very nice to me, and I kept on working there for a little while. But then I left there after a while, I don't know how long, and I went to Minneapolis.
What was Minneapolis like in those days?
Oh, he didn't have much money in my pocket. So I remember I got a room for $3 a week.
What price was that? You didn't know anybody there?
$3 a week. I
You
didn't know
have your
that. I
outfit.
got it out of the paper. Then I got a job on Marquette Avenue, worked for a couple of Greeks, and I ate fruit. And that's all I ate for that week. And I paid my room rent. And I used to walk to work and walk back to work. And I lived on about 21st and Aldrich, and I walked over to 11th and Marquette. So that's why that's all right, let her walk.
It's good walking. How much
Oh,
is that?
don't
Mile?
put these on tape.
No, I won't.
Oh,
What?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't put this on
You
All
tape.
right,
walk.
race that.
Don't put one.
Scratch that.
Check.
Well, she did a lot of walking.
She did a lot of
Is that a mile?
Oh, more than that.
More than that?
A couple miles.
Couple miles.
Couple miles.
So you were getting in shape for the marathon.
And I used to eat that. I could eat all the fruit I wanted, and they never said nothing. So I lived on fruit. But that was healthy.
It's good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I get started a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw an ad in the paper at the College Inn. And that was on about 24th and Hennepin, I think. And I went over there and I got a job, waitress. There was a couple of more Greeks. And those Greeks do love to work you.
They like restaurants.
Oh, man. They like restaurants and they work you, too. So, and of course I was making tips then and salary and wages. And then from the College Inn I went out to, I got another job. I went to the Rainbow. That was better yet. No, let's see. I went down to that 12th Street Cafe. And that's where I met Al.
At the cross street cafe. He was the customer one day.
Yeah, he was coming.
He made
He was
weight
driving the bus.
Greyhound.
No,
No?
Twin City Southern.
Twin City Southern. Where
Yeah.
did that go?
And
Where did that go? Up north?
La Crosse, up in Wisconsin. He used to drive up to Wisconsin too. Elbow Lake and in there. And then that
So how'd you eat them?
he'd come
In
in
his
to
car.
eat, and I'd
Oh, you
wait
didn't
on him.
eat. Oh, okay.
That's how I got talking to him.
Took you out? next thing, one thing led to another.
Well,
Wedding bells began to chime.
that's the way it went. And he had a little old, and then I quit the 12th Street Cafe because I thought I'd go out there and work at the Rainbow. I thought there'd be better tips, which it was, because it's working class down at 12th Street Cafe. And I went out there, and my goodness, I had $5, and I'll never forget. It was the first Sunday, I'd worked Sunday, and they all come out to get me. And we were going to go for a little, we used to go around the ride and then get an ice cream cone and go home. That was a big treat. So I had made $5 tips that day and $2.50 wages. That's big stuff.
Oh boy.
So from there on,
So what year did you get married? It was
we got married in 28.
1928.
So how long did you know each other before you got married?
Huh?
How long did you know each other?
I don't know.
A week?
A week?
What did your mother say when she found out that Mel wasn't Catholic?
We
Well,
went
first
out.
of all, Grandma was a convert.
Oh, Grandma was a convert.
Yes, Mom was a convert.
Oh, so she was understanding of that.
No, she didn't say anything about that. But we, I know we were in an apartment, and I had a roomer. Her name was Our Lady Donahue, and she's dead now. And I had a ring on my finger, and Al said something about he wanted to try the ring on. And Our Lady, I'll never forget that. Our Lady says, "I bet you're going to get her a diamond." And he didn't say nothing, but he just put it on his finger and kind of tried it. And then he gave it back to me, and that was all. But then pretty soon he said, let's go down and pick out a diamond. And we went down to Max Cone. I remember that jewelry store. And I saw the diamond, and he asked me if I liked that, and I said, yeah. And I still got that diamond.
Still have it. Very good. And then, shortly afterwards, you got married.
Yeah, we got married.
Minneapolis?
Yeah. In the Ascension Parish up in the vestibule. We didn't get married in front of the altar. Those days you could not get
Well,
married.
did he take you home to meet his folks?
Oh yes. Then we went up to meet Mom and Dad.
Before or after the marriage?
Oh, before we were married. Oh yeah.
That was
Because
where?
Ma said, Ma made one remark to me. Ma never wanted me to get married. She said, I think you're pretty familiar with that fella, she says. I'll never forget that. And I was afraid she was going to say something.
Yeah.
But we had that little old coupe. It was a little old Chevrolet coupe. I remember them?
Millbank? Yeah, oh yeah.
And then we went down from my place down to Millbank. And we were at Bill and Clara's.
Oh, his parents were still living? No, his dad didn't.
No, his dad died when he was 1902.
Yeah.
He's only about a year old.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't. Lydia wasn't born yet.
Oh.
And she had to get out and help farm the poor old lady.
She worked hard.
So where was his parents from?
His parents were...
South Dakota.
No, they were from... I think they were from Germany, too.
Germany, too.
Is there a Wittenberg over there?
Or something, yeah,
I have got someone that wrote to me about getting
Family tree?
yeah,
I think Dick said there was a professor by the name of Dittis that did that, didn't he?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was a woman.
Or was it a woman?
I think so.
He said I think he's got it. He said.
I think so. That there's something there. And they came Wittenberg, Germany. Wasn't there a Wittenberg, Germany?
There was.
I think so. That's where they're from.
And his grandmother's name, wasn't it?
Pinkert.
Pinkert.
Yeah.
Pinkert, I remember that.
His mother's name.
His mother's name was Pinkert. What was her first name yet? Emma.
Emma?
Emma Pinkert.
Emma Pinkert. We saw the cemetery. It's right on the farm there, right in front of the house. Were they going to move it or something? It was right there.
No, there's a little ways up the road.
Yeah, it's a ways up the road.
Not
It's
far.
Somebody else's property.
Is it? That's what else?
Yeah, but there's a little square cut out of there.
Yeah.
And I know that.
They were talking about moving them into town.
Are they?
They were talking.
Anyway, they. I know that when she died, let's see, Richard was born the 1st December, and she died in May. And we went out there. It was before Dick was born, or right after Dick was born, or something. And the grave it was next spring, I think, that we went out there. The grave had sunk down, way down. And I had never seen graves anymore. And I said, well, what does that mean? He says, well, that means that the casket is all rotted out.
Yeah, they didn't have boxes like they do now.
I think it was next spring we'd gone out there.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Sunk down.
It was from the water, you know.
Sure.
Not drained off right, and the water had stood there. It was probably a low part of the corner of the ground. I don't know.
Well, there's a marker up there in South Dakota about this or something. Wasn't there?
There's a big tombstone there, Pinkard.
No, he's talking about on the side of the road. You know how they put those historic markers?
Historical markers?
There is a historical marker out there to do with Frederick.
Yes.
I guess this
He helped
would
set up
be
the territory or something.
Dad Albert's
Did you ever see that?
grandfather.
Oh, I never saw it. I can't remember
It's something about he and 2 other guys started the county of,
The territory or something.
whatever county is out there.
Sisseton? No.
Before it was a state even. They helped organize the state. It's territory then, open country.
Well, it probably was. I remember when up at Warren that Dad used to go out and hire when we'd have a band of Indians. They called them band of Indians, and they camped out in the front lawn. And
Really?
yes,
Not Indians.
I don't know. I don't know what tribe.
Still going? Yeah. Band of Indians, huh? Will they sleep in teepees?
Teepees, yeah.
Did they
They had
really?
a teepee, yeah. Mm-hmm. And Ma didn't want to hire. Bob used to say to Dad, "What did you hire them for? They'll steal all our chickens." And but Dad hired them anyway because he needed help for the farming.
Did they steal the chickens?
No,
Where did they grow up there? Where did they farm?
we had wheat. And Dick's got some flax.
That farm?
Was from the farm that Dad had given me.
Is that right?
Yeah, I guess that's what he says it is. I can't remember that, but that's what he said. And then
Some what?
flax. We grew flax. Oh, flax was good price. I remember one year.
What is what?
Grain.
Grain?
Well, flax. They weave
Cloth.
flaxen seeds. You know, they
Use the seeds for oil.
yeah. There's a big oil out of it, and then they weave linen out of flax too. And
What kind of work did you have to do on the farm there when you were a little girl? Did you have to
oh, I did everything. I
raise the chicks?
raised the chickens and fed the pigs and milked cows and pitched hay and pitched bundles and
See that?
oh yes,
Hard work.
we all had to get out. And there was a couple of times I had to run away with a couple of horses.
Ride horses out there?
Oh yeah, we had a good riding horse. Rock was the name. Was a Western Bronco, and that was a good riding horse. But
You must have been one of the original cowgirls.
oh, I could go like heck on that. I used to herd cows along the railroad tracks.
Did you?
Oh yes, oh yeah. After school come out, well then I had to go get the cows and weed them.
Get on the horse and bring them in, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But
And
you didn't
then
have to fight with the Indians.
no, they only were there a few weeks and then a little while, and then they'd go on to the next farm.
Mm-hmm. You have reservations out there? Indian reservations?
Well, no, they didn't call. They were called farms. But then we had gypsies too that traveled in their covered wagons, and they worked out too. But
Is that your
they,
fortune?
but Ma was always against hiring them too.
Yeah.
One time I remember when I was a little girl, Ma was sitting in the rocking chair, and we were singing away and stuff, and she thought she heard a footstep. And she went out in the dining room, was one room, and the kitchen was another big long room, and she went out the door and she had her hand behind her back, and I didn't know what was going on, and here was a guy in the kitchen. And
Gypsy?
no, it was a beggar. And she made believe that, she said, "What are you doing in here?" And so she got him out of the house. Boy, she was tough.
Boy, oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in the farm country.
Oh, yeah.
Beggar was there, huh?
Years ago. And how these beggars would mark we thought it was so funny because Dad always said, feed them. Give them some sandwich. Give them some kind of a sandwich. Bread. Make them bread. Give them bread. Feed them. So Ma would do that. And she was walking. We had a little coulee go through the yard. And she walked over by the bridge. And she said, she noticed on the bridge, here would be a mark, white chalk. White chalk. It would be X's. So it showed how, and then she thought, aha, I had two beggars today. There was two X's. They had marked the bridge with an X because they had gotten fed.
That was a good house, huh?
That was a good house. So that's
is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Where was your dad when this beggar came? Out in the field?
Out in the field, yeah. I imagine Paul was with him.
Yeah.
Seeing Grant was a baby.
Yeah, the kind of scary.
I remember when Grant was, I was only 5 years old when Grant was born. Mm-hmm. And I knew the doctor was there, and that darn nurse was there that put soap in my eyes. Whoa. The way she washed my face. And she wasn't a nurse.
Things you remember.
A darn nurse.
she was a midwife, you know. And the doctor came and Ma was in the bedroom, and of course Dad was out there, so I got mad and I went out and pulled and he was born in July 29th, and I pulled all the carrots out of the garden. They wouldn't let me in that bedroom, so I pulled all the carrots out.
Uh-oh. They weren't done yet.
No, they were real young.
That went over big, huh?
I didn't get a licking. My dad didn't lick me. Pa never gave me a licking.
Yeah.
Ma did, though.
Spoiled.
No, I was not spoiled. My dad was good.
He was good?
Yeah. Ma would lick me for stuff that wasn't... She always petted Paul. She always favored the boys. The boys were it, and I was no good.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, there only was the one boy, wasn't there?
Two boys, Grant and Paul.
Oh, Grant and Paul.
See, Grant was being born in that room. And I wanted to know what was going on in there because I thought it was funny.
Well, what happened to Paul?
Well, Paul was outside somewhere, I suppose, playing.
Oh, I said Paul then was leaving Chicago then, didn't he? That was your brother.
Now, wait, Paul was... See, they sent him to an agricultural college in Crookston. It's quite a college there now. Yeah. The last time I was through there. And he wasn't going to come back to the farm, and what did he do? He just picked off and ran off.
Didn't finish school?
Mm-mm. So then he went down to Iowa, Waterloo, Iowa. And he came home for a little while in the fall, and he left again. He never come back. Then he went down to Illinois there, and he met a nice girl, and they were married.
Chicago?
No. That ain't the town.
Joliet,
that's
it. You have
it.
any kids?
Never.
Never had any kids?
Never had any kids. No. But Margaret was a nice person. She's dead now. Yeah, she's dead. But she was a nice person.
Yeah?
He was mean to her.
What happened to Grant?
Well, Grant was up north.
he died very young.
He died when he was 30, 39.
Was he still farmed up there in...
No, he got started a blacksmith shop up in Hell. And he used to take care of the skating rink. And
He stayed at home and worked on the farm for many years.
you bet he did. He supported Mom and Dad. He helped Mom and Dad a lot. And he wanted to kind of modernize the farm, you know, buy a combine, do this and do that. And Pa was so old-fashioned, he wouldn't do it. And, you know, and Ma was so conformed. Both of them are conformed in their ideas. So not to accept progress.
Like the horses, they want to.
Yeah, stay with the horses, you know. And if Dad had done what Grant wanted to, but to see Grant's health there, he had. When I went, they sent me to Cathedral High School in Crookston the first year, and then it was too expensive. So, but I got sick, and I got scarlet fever, and I brought it home, and Grant got it too, and we were quarantined for. But Grant got inflammatory rheumatism, the doctor said afterwards. Yeah, inflammatory rheumatism, he said. But it was rheumatic fever he got. Afterwards, I found out, the doctors told him. And he had this scar in his heart. And the doctors around Warren didn't know what he had. And he used to go out there. I remember I was home one time, that was after I was married. And I think I had both of these kids, Liz and Dick. And he sat on because Mom made chicken soup and noodles, you know. And oh, that's good stuff.
Do you remember your uncle?
You remember Grant?
How old were you when he died?
Oh, the change.
Oh, then you're.
Well, yeah, you must have, I think you were gone out west. Or were you home when the call came through?
Yeah, I was home because he died before Grandpa did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pa was sitting on that piano bench, and I remember, and they said it was the police department calling. And I said, oh, it's the dog again.
No, first of all, the police came. Grandma didn't have a telephone. She was next door. She didn't talk.
They both were over at the house.
They said the policeman came to the door. And
No,
said,
they called.
No, the policeman came to the door and asked them to call the police station.
Was that it? Oh, I didn't remember that. Well,
Did he
anyway,
live with them? No.
and I thought it
He
was
lived
the,
next door?
No, Grant never did. No, when they sold the farm and they came down
He's
to
there.
Minneapolis to live next door, he went up to Hallock, Minnesota, which is
we had
right
a
near the
blacksmith
border.
shop up there.
And he also did, they played a lot of ice hockey. And he apparently did the maintenance for the,
Well, the big-
ice hockey
The
rink.
big Canadians.
They didn't play indoors, they played outdoors.
No, it was a big arena. I saw it.
I thought it was outdoors.
No, it was indoor. Indoor. It was a big arena, and he used to take care of that and scrape that ice. And that was very frigid cold in there, because, oh, it was cold, I remember. Because I went up to get the body. And, but when the call came, then I called the police department. I said, oh, it's that damn dog again. And here it wasn't. And then they said, do you have a relative in Hallock? And then I turned away from the phone and I said, it's Grant. And Pa was sitting on that bench. I can see him right to this day.
We got him.
Yeah.
That's tough. He was so young, huh?
Yeah, I'm 39.
39.
He had a heart attack.
He went in to eat dinner in a restaurant, the way I understand it, and he had just finished eating and had talked to the owner, and the owner went back to do something else.
He went to take some money from another check.
And he came back and ran for it.
His head was in the plate. And he got the doctor right away. And they tried to give him resuscitation, you know.
Not as you would, probably didn't.
And they gave him, a doctor came, doctor just had to come across the alley, but he must have got a massive one.
Yeah, too late.
Probably was just as well, you know. He could have been a vegetable.
Sure.
But
So then was he buried up there? You brought him down this way?
No.
He's married in Minneapolis.
He's married in Minneapolis.
Then
Staying
I-
right next to Grandma and Grandpa.
Is he?
yeah, in St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that I come back and Ma said, oh, she says, Dad wants to buy a lot out of Osseo. That was some little town out there. And I said, well, why can't we be buried? Can't he be buried in St. Mary's? And so then I wanted to go over where I've got mine. I bought a crypt because I don't want to be buried in the ground. I bought one out at I forget the
That long ago? You had a long
A couple
time?
of years ago I bought it. $1,500.
Mhm.
I got a good buy on it because it's $3,000.
Good shop. Good shopper there.
Yeah.
It would have
Well,
taken you a while to buy it with the tips that
yeah. Well, I thought I'm not gonna.
Not going under.
No, I tell you who owns that. That's Armor.
Armor?
Yeah, I guess so. And it's Dick was with me when I went over, and it's a nice lot. It's a first tier, and there's a place you can put flowers, in there, and it's just a one crypt.
So did you always think you might go south to Arizona? No. When did you decide to go to Arizona?
Oh, well, I got, going up and down those stairs, and then I fell a couple times going down the stairs. And then I was getting crippled up and in my back. And see, that's why I got out of waitress work, because I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't lift those trays. And
I'll put it on the
in fact, I made a visit. I went up to Quebec.
Quebec.
And
Did you go to
what's the name of that town?
and Saint Beaupré?
Anne Beaupré.
And did you go there?
St. Anne Beaupré. I went there, and you make a request, and there's a lot of people with. And my back got better.
Did it?
Yes, it did. And I went up there, and that's why they tell you now that every church you go to, if I've even thought of going to Lourdes with this asthma, and just see if I could, because I think if you believe strong enough, it'll come out. I'll lose it.
It could.
But here's the thing. Like I said to Liz the other night, over here at St. Bartholomew, I made a request for my asthma. Every time I go in a new church, you can make a
special request.
A special request.
Yeah. Well, faith is very important. There's no doubt about it.
That's right. You just got to keep on praying, and maybe you'll come out of it.
Well, what else do you know about Minneapolis? What do you call there?
Oh, we live.
It's cold country. Remember the cold winters?
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. I had I'd work at night, come home and try to shovel that car out, and some nights I
got fed up and you said, I'm moving to some warm weather.
I would in that alley, I'll never forget it. Oh, and when the tornado went through, there was a tornado went through, and I tell you.
What year was that?
I don't know what year, but Dick would know, because the river parted, and they saw the stumps. And Dick grabbed his kids and Pat, and they went down in the basement. And
that wasn't too long ago, that tornado. I remember that.
I don't know what year that was. I forget.
Yeah, because I think we visited not long after that. There was wood still sticking all over.
And then I know that I said to Dick, and it came through right in DuPont, because I had because he said, don't accept no part roof or nothing. He says, make that insurance company fix that roof. It was after Ma. No, Ma was still living, but Ma was in the hospital.
How old did she live, your mother?
We was figuring today, Liz said, I got to look, but I thought she was 85. I thought she was going to be 85 in September, and she died in May. I know that. But I don't know what year. I forget.
Maybe we find that mass card.
I've got them at home. Yeah. In fact, I think I got more than one. I can send a mass card to you. Yeah. Yeah, I know that.
So I bet when you were a little girl, you didn't have a car then. You just had horses? Or did you have a car?
No, when I was a little girl, we only had... Oh, I remember when my dad got his first car.
There weren't many cars anywhere, right, your dad?
Oh, no. I think I was probably 10 years old. Or 9 or 8, something in there.
You got a first car?
We got a Buick.
Buick?
A Buick. And Pa drove it, and he was heading for the tree. and I started yelling.
Uh-oh.
And finally he straightened up the car. I'll never forget that. Oh, there was a lot of things on the farm. I remember we never had any ice box, we always had kerosene lamps, and Saturday it was clean the globes and fill them with kerosene. And we would carry a kerosene lamp upstairs. Huh?
To save the ice from winter?
We saved the ice for summer.
For summer, yeah.
And we had an ice house, and we put sawdust around it so it would keep the ice, and then go out and chop some off and bring in.
How long did that stay? How long would that?
All summer.
All summer?
Oh yeah, until And then
now would you use that to preserve your food? That ice? Or
the butter would melt, and the milk, keep that, and the cream. We had all our own milk and cream and everything.
How about the wash up showers?
The what?
Take a bath? Cold bath?
Oh, crap. We had a tub.
Every Saturday night, need it or not, right?
Yeah, sometimes if we got awful dirty, us kids we had to wash up during the week. We'd get a bath. But that was put on the north porch. And then I can remember when that porch was open, then Dad had a carpenter come and build sides on it, and a door on it, so that wind from the north wouldn't come in so bad. And in the summertime, then we took a bath out there. And then we got a gasoline engine for the wash machine, and that had a belt on it. But otherwise, I had a